Hi, and welcome to the Mabe in the Cloud YouTube channel where I mix up punk rock PMA and cloud technology. Tonight we're going to take a look at how to create a simple GKE cluster with Terraform. Now, I just want to warn you in advance, I've set this up to work in Cloud Shell and Cloud Shell only. I will have a link to this GitHub repo that you're seeing right before you in the notes for this video. So, let's get started. If you don't know what Terraform is, it's a simple way to do infrastructure as code. It works on pretty much every single public cloud that's out there right now. It requires files that are called .tf. Those are the Terraform files, if you want to think of it in a just really simple, easy to use manner. Let's take a look at the main.tf, which is what is going to be building out the initial cluster we have. So what I've done is I've set everything to be parameterized. So we're going to be looking for the project ID, the region, and obviously the provider is Google because we're going to be using Google Cloud Platform and GKE, which stands for Google Kubernetes Engine. So we're going to be doing a lot of this in the default VPC that comes standard out of the box for every single GKE or Google Cloud Platform product. There's always a default network in every VPC. So why default? Because this will make it very easy for you or anyone to do. So we're going to create a cluster with 3 nodes, and we're using the network name in this location that's defined in the variables file. We're going to take a look at that in a second. This part here is a provisioner to sleep for 90 seconds. That just allows the cluster and everything to be built out. What we have here is an output portion of this file. The output could be a different Terraform file, but for the sake of brevity, it's here. We're going to output the subnetwork, these 2 subnetwork values, and the name, the cluster name, and the cluster region. This is going to come into play. I will show you another script that I'm going to run, and it tells you exactly why. So real quick, let's take a look at the variables.tf. Now, there's nothing really too crazy in here. It just says region, but it doesn't tell you what region. A zone, again, none of that. So a lot of this is going to come from a script that I used to create a tf-vars file. That vars file then fuels the variables file, which fuels the main.tf. That is being stored in the setup.sh. So it's a simple bash script that sets up this file. So we're going to cat out this information between the EOFs to a terraform.tf vars file. And then it's going to do terraform init. The reason I did this is to make it kind of modular and easy to move around for people. And this project ID, it uses a variable. Again, this is why you're using Cloud Shell. If you use Cloud Shell, it's going to pull the project that you are currently in. You don't have to worry about what project you're in. There's nothing that... It's just reading the project from where you're running it. It's that simple. I've named simple example, network name Terrakates, and the Terraform init that downloads all the provisioner information you need. Because this is a really simple script and I wanted to make it just kind of a little bit more modular, we're going to go ahead and clone this. So if you've never cloned anything on GitHub before, welcome. Here we go. Go to this little code box, go to this copy icon. So this is going to copy it to your clipboard. You're going to log into Google Cloud Platform. Your view may look more like this. You're going to see some spikes and information here. That's just because I've been running this demo a lot. And if you've ever run demos before, you'll probably realize that you need to do them a lot, over and over and over, until you know it's right and you know it's safe. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this Cloud Shell. Once it opens, we are going to clone that repository. So we're going to type in git clone then we're going to paste that link that we copied from before. That will copy the code onto the shell. So we will then change into the directory for that. So it's in GKE Cloud Shell demo. All right, let's take a quick look. Make sure everything is here. Do a long listing. For fun, I put a gitignore file in there too. If you don't know what a gitignore file is, it's just various things that you don't want to be pushed into a repository, like the variables files. All right, looks like everything is here. As I said before, we start off with the setup.sh. So we're going to kick that off real quick. And what's going to happen is, like I said before, it grabs the provisioner information. So provider is Google version 3.6.0. Great. What happened? Did we build anything? No. Why? We have to now say, Terraform, do something. So let's try, as it suggests, Terraform plan. And I can type. One thing you can do with Terraform plan, you can output that to a file and say, let's just say GKE.plan. Boom. There we go. So what you're going to see is you have 3 to add, some things to destroy. A lot of this information will be available to Terraform after things are created. So here we go. We're going to do a Terraform Apply. And we're going to point to that file we made. So it's already got the plan. You can also do Terraform Apply, hit enter, and then it's going to ask you to confirm. Do you want to do this? Yes or no. There's another way to do that too. Terraform Apply -auto -approve. And that'll automatically push whatever you're trying to do. So what's happening now is we're creating that network. Things are going to take a little while to create and complete. It's already pulled the identifier, so it knows where it's going. It knows what region we're in, and it's going to go from there. If we take a quick look into the Kubernetes engine piece, you can access the various resources from here, this little hamburger menu. Go down to Kubernetes. Let's take a look at clusters. So right now we see that there's nothing there. Terracates, by the way, if you want to know, Terracates comes from here. That's where that is being pulled. Configuring, deploying health checks. All right. So we look here. There's really going to be nothing yet. Clusters. But what we should see some activity here under virtual machine instances, aka compute engine. So let's take a look there. And we have 1, 2, 3. Like we said, we are looking for 3 nodes. There we go. Initial node count 3. So we have 3, but what is really going on is that we're still doing some of the networking, some of the building and provisioning in the background for Kubernetes to do what it does. It takes a little while for Kubernetes to set up and get up and running on Google Cloud because there's really a lot more to it than just, okay, great, you have a Kubernetes cluster. Well, okay, cool. But as you saw in this hamburger menu, there is a lot of other things in there. Now, one of those things, beyond networking, because that's another whole complicated thing there too, is monitoring. You have Cloud Monitor. So Cloud Monitor has to be able to work with whatever we're building, and that's automatically built into Google Kubernetes engine. Try saying that 3 times fast. It gets kind of hectic and hairy. So as we're building, we can take a quick look back at, I didn't mean to go there, but that's all right. Compute engine. Check in on these machines. And one thing you could try to do is to try to stop one of these. What you'll find is that you cannot stop them. This is part of a managed instance group. So you'll find that you cannot stop them. You can't restart them or anything else. Should something happen to them, they can be automatically recreated. But if you're worried about these nodes being turned off, no one can do it because it's officially managed by GKE. So we should be just about done with the build. It usually takes, wow, right, there we go. It takes 3 minutes to complete. I mentioned the outputs before. So the outputs will always be here. So cluster name, Terracates. Region, US Central 1. There's the network, and the subnetwork name is also Terracates. We can confirm this too if we do Terra. Helps if I type in the box. Terraform show. It'll tell you everything that was built, including those outputs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run the git Kates creds. So what this does is, if I were to try to type in kubectl get something now, let's try that. If I try kubectl get pods now, it's not going to be able to do anything because it has no knowledge of how to do anything. It needs to have credentials to communicate to the cluster, and right now it cannot. It's going to hang out. Probably will error out. So let's close. I might be stuck. There we go. Very good. Now, oops, it starts with Kates. So the interesting thing about this and why I mentioned the outputs is this data here, cluster ID, this comes straight from the output of Terraform out, by the way. So running this will allow us to be able to authenticate to Kubernetes using kubectl, or as I like to call it, kubectl. Here we go. This is the command to get those clusters, that credential information. Copy the setup back to where we were. It runs Terraform init again because there's more initializing to go because there's more provisioner provider information to go. We do Terraform auto apply or apply auto approve here to continue to build. So what it's going to do, it's going to spin up Nginx. You can see it down here at the bottom. Kubernetes service creating Nginx. So taking a look back here, it's essentially applying this additional Terraform file. Some of the things it's doing, it's creating a namespace called staging. It's using those variables again. And we're just setting up a simple Nginx cluster. Nothing fancy, but we're also utilizing a load balancer using the compute address, default address, nothing too out of the ordinary. There are some specs here. There's a selector for Nginx. We're using the latest, quote, I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see me, the, quote, latest Nginx container from the registry. And we're going to get an output of the load balancer IP address once everything is up and running. And there it is. If we were to copy this, I'm using Chrome currently. So if I type this or paste this into Chrome, what's going to happen is we're going to get that automatically. Sometimes it tries to append the HTTPS using 443 to go there. However, it worked right away this time. We took this IP address, and that's how we're getting into our Kubernetes cluster. You can verify this by looking at services in ingress, and that is the same information here, 35.238.5.43 on port 80. If you were to click this, it'll ask if it's okay to redirect, but it's the same thing again. You can verify this by using kubectl. Remember, we said it wouldn't work before, and we saw that it wasn't working. So kubectl get svc. we're not seeing it. And the reason why is because we created a namespace called staging. So in order to see it, we need to add -n for namespace and then staging. And again, we have the correct IP address and what port it uses. External port 80 internally, 32411. You don't need to memorize that. It's a-okay. Now, I'm ready to take everything down. So what I'm going to do is type in Terraform. My favorite command, Terraform destroy. And I'm going to add the auto approve at the end. The auto approve is me saying, hey, I'm telling you what I want you to do. Don't ask me yes or no. Just go ahead and do it. The reason I'm doing this now, and I want everyone to do this, if you're following along with me or you're trying to do it on your own, please destroy it at the end. If you don't, you may incur some charges, and that is something that I can't fix for you. However, just go ahead and destroy it, and everything will be fine. If you ever plan on using Kubernetes again using Cloud Shell, I recommend you do this too. There's a cleanup.sh. And what that does is it takes those configuration files out of the .cube folder and just wipes them out. So that way you can use a different version of that in the future, should you ever want to try. So I just want to say, hey, if you made it, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking this out. If you like what I'm doing, send me a message. You'll find me on LinkedIn, which is primarily where I'm posting and sharing this, or on Twitter. You can find me at Mabe in the Cloud on Twitter. Leave me a message there, message me here. Let's talk about technology and how cool Google Cloud and Google Kubernetes Engine is. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.